All right, so former child actor star, and Dad was thrown in the clink for tax evasion and borrowed money for you, and this is his chance to pay it back. So, can you take us through the book a little bit? I mean, it's basically broken into three parts: the Mafia, Cowboys, and the Cocktails, and share a little bit about the.
Okay, we've got a portion of the book I'd like to read for you that. People tell me the book's really, really stomp down funny, fall out of your chair type funny, and I've heard it over and over again. Humor was a insulator, like a safety blanket for my brother and I. You know, when life got a little bit too real, we had a place to go, and that was humor. And later, my guitar, my music was also, you know, kind of my parent in a way. I had a safe spot in my music, and with our raucous humor. An old spa. It was a dude ranch in an area then known as North Palm Springs. Since it was a little closer to L.A., Dad thought Palm Springs would grow that way and make him even richer. The spa was developed by Mary Pickford of silent movie fame and Buddy Ebsen, Uncle Jed of the Beverly Hillbillies. It was a favorite hangout of Marilyn Monroe, who had her own bungalow called the Blue Room. It was all dark blue, lights, carpet, furniture, and mirrors from floor to ceiling. It was bitchin', to use a California word from the day. Also, mob types, friends of Dad's, frequented the place for formal and informal gatherings. Once Dad asked me to tell a joke and give a speech at a banquet that included, as guests, George Raft, Mickey Cohen, Bugsy Siegel, and Mo Dalitz, among others. They were all semi-drunk and raucous. After all, since I thought I was a comedian anyway and had several Roy Rogers, I was the perfect man for the job. I stood up on my chair, tapped on my glass with a spoon, and told the one about the explorer who was captured in the jungle by cannibals. He was tied to a pole, and every day the leader of the tribe would stick him with a small spear and let everyone drink a little blood. Well, this went on until he was about to expire, and the leader asked him if there was any last thing he would like to say. He looked up and complained, "Gee, Chief, why am I always getting stuck for the drinks?" My audience howled as their 7-year-old MC thanked them for coming and told them to enjoy their stay, and "That's enough, son," Dad said as he sat me down, even though I wasn't nearly through. Most people those days subscribed to the kids should be seen and not heard school, but I always thought that was just because I was smarter than them. I guess we were spoiled. My dad bought me a miniature Model T go-kart like the Shriners drive in parades with those purple planters with the gold tassels on their heads. For a long time, I thought they were all named Al Cater. I used to tool around in the spa grounds, going down to the stables, giving people rides, and just generally running the place. One major screw-up, as far as I was concerned, was my folks buying me a Shetland pony for my birthday. Didn't they remember what happened to Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara's daughter in Gone with the Wind? Were they trying to kill me? I started to hate this animal 10 minutes after I saw him. Oh, it was love at first sight, all right. He was beautiful, all palomino gold and dappled with darker gold, a long silky flaxen mane and tail. He had a black headstall with silver conchos, shiny jet black reins, and a black saddle boasting silver stars and studs with bleached white rawhide tassels hanging down. Even his cute little hooves were painted black. To borrow from Bruce Springsteen, he was all decked out like a Harley in heat. As I approached the little guy, he seemed to be smiling at me. He looked at me with those benevolent big brown eyes, then jerked away from Manuel, our stable hand, and kicked me square in the kneecap. I fell down in the mud and horse poop and started crying. "You got to get right back on once you've been thrown, son," said Dad. "Well, who are you supposed to be? Ronald Reagan?" I cracked through sobs. Manuel got a hold of the little terrorist again, and Dad threw me up on him. I stayed on long enough to get dumped back in the mud and stepped on. I limped out of the corral back to my trusty go-kart and headed for the casa. The next day was the ranch's much looked forward to weekly trail ride for the guests. Looked forward to everyone but me. Just like I'd wanted to be an entertainer, my brother Eddie Bennett, who was also a real well-known bronc rider in the 70s and 80s, took to this cowboy thing like a Texan takes to beans. He could already get on by himself, walking his horse to the next next to the crowd and using it like a ladder to get on. He was galloping around the pasture when Hopalong John showed up in full cowboy regalia, with tears in his eyes and holding Mommy's hand. Next to the tack room, tied to a rail, was my little friend. By now, Napoleon, the name I'd given him, was rearing up on his hind legs trying to get away to torment me further, I thought. Turns out, little Nappy was a stud, not a gelding, and one of the mares in the group was in season. Well, he calmed down long enough for Manuel and Mom to hoist me aboard and hand me the reins. He took the bit in his teeth and ran for all he was worth towards the mare. Then the pint-sized Romeo jumped up on his hind legs and was trying to mount her. The mare took off with her rider and we gave chase. We were running full-tilt boogie down a dirt road, my eyes blurring and tearing from the dirt, speed, and terror, when my saddle started slipping, until I was almost under his painted kid-killing hooves. He brushed me off on a telephone pole. I came away with an egg on my forehead, and my brother, who had been chasing us, trying to rescue me, looking down on me, saying, "Hey, Johnny, cowboys don't cry." It was at the Dude Ranch that Mom and Dad had their last knockdown, drag-out domestic. Dad, in one of his jealous rages, was beating poor Mom, probably accusing her of sleeping with Manuel, our stable hand, or something equally ridiculous. Screams were heard, lights went on, cops were called, the usual. I make light of this as a survival technique, but believe me, seeing your mama with a black eye and bloody lip traumatizes the bejesus out of you. Thank God that during those times, Eddie and I always had each other to hold on to.
All right, so it's a great book. It's well worth the read. It's very entertaining. And where can people go find the book?
Well, it's in bookstores, local bookstores even, Betty's Books in Baker. But you can get it online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores. Just ask for it, and it's pretty easy to find.
They come through Mount Vernon when you sign a copy?
Downtownville! Of course so. As a matter of fact, if you buy it through Amazon, I sign the book. And so I ship. I'm the shipper.
Mine signed.
Yeah?
All right.
Cheese.
Well, thanks for sharing this, and it's a great book, and I encourage everybody to go check it out.
Cheesecake.